Welcome to this example. In this example, we're going to compute the weighted average capital for a company called XYZ. The company wants to fund a project worth 5 million using two sources of capital, common equity and 20-year bond. And the company is using 3 million issuing equity and 2 million issuing bond. And the cost of equity for that firm is 11.5% and cost of debt is 6% and the tax rate is 35%. Given this information, what is the weighted average cost for this firm? So here I have given you the basic framework I usually like because it makes easy to understand. First column, you have sources of capital. Second column, you have amount being financed through each sources. Third column, you have the weights, meaning what percent being financed through each source. And you have before tax cost, after tax cost, and the product. So given the information, we have 2 million being financed through bond, 3 million being financed through equity. Total is 5 million. And how you compute the weight? 2 million divided by 5 million, that is 40% is being financed through bond, and 3 million over 5 million, that gives us 0.6, is 60% is being financed through equity. And before tax cost is 6% for bond, and for equity is 11.5%. Now we need to compute after tax cost. And how you compute after tax cost for bond? You have to multiply before tax cost by 1 minus tax rate, and that gives us 3.9%. And for equity, the same as before tax cost. And now the product. Product means you multiply these weights with after tax cost. So if you do that, the product for bond is 3.9% times 0.4. That gives us 0.0156. And for equity is the percent of equity 0.6 times the after tax cost, and that gives us 0.069. And if you add this both, you get 0.0846, which is 8.46, and that is the weighted average cost of capital. Think how I have arranged this information and try to follow that, and that makes this concept easy. And I have also done in Excel, and let me show how I have done. So I have all this information here, the tax rate and sources of capital and amount being financed, and I'm gonna compute some of the information right here. Percent being financed, that is the weights, right? How do you compute that? So basically the amount being financed from each source over total capital funded, right? So it's 2 million over 5 million, that gives the percent. So similarly, you can calculate for equity, 3 million over 5 million, right? That gives us the 60% being financed. And total always should equals to 1 because that is the total capital coming from each source, so that should add to 100%. Now before tax cost is 6% for bond, 11.5% for equity, right? Now after tax cost for bond is going to be your before tax times 1 minus the tax rate, right? And for equity is the same as before tax, right? That's all. Now the product means your weights times after tax. So 40% times after tax cost, that is the product for bond. And similarly for equity, the weights times after tax, that gives us the product for equity. And if you add these two, that gives us the Wacc. So in order to compute Wacc, all you have to do is sum that product. you can sum individually, or you can use the sum function from Excel. I'm going to do it individually. So this guy plus this guy should give us the weighted average cost of capital for this company, right? So if there were more sources of capital, you'd add them all. But for now, we have just two sources of capital. You can just add them and get the Wacc for this firm. Thank you.